Okay, so today we're here with Rory Pan. She is one of our former Miss Georgia's outstanding teens, and she's also one of my very good friends. We're so happy to have you here, Rory.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, so just like go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself, your hobbies, your background, your family, where you come from.
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Rory. I was Miss Georgia's Outstanding Teen 2018, so about 2 years ago. I go to school in Johns Creek, Georgia, and I am a rising freshman in college. I'll be attending Harvard University in the fall, and love to dance. I love to volunteer, and especially with children and adults with disabilities. And I love to do business clubs and participate in class council in my school. So a bunch of different things, but yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
That's so great. Okay, so I know you do like a bunch of activities. How do you manage everything? Because I know that's time management is like a struggle a lot of people have.
Sure. Yeah. No, I don't know how to answer this question. So funny. Yeah, I do a lot of activities, and I think that throughout high school, I um, kind of wanted to do everything. I didn't really focus on one thing, and I felt that if I could dip my feet into a bunch of different activities, I could feel fulfilled in that way, right? But getting a diverse set of options. And I feel like a lot of the time I felt very stressed because of it. I think I definitely overloaded myself. And I think that it's important to be real and to say, like, yes, it was hard. And sometimes it felt like I could not juggle everything. And what did that result in? It resulted in like less sleep, more coffee. Not complaining though, I love coffee. But I think like advice I would give as to like how I dealt with all those activities is definitely time management for sure. But it's like knowing when to sacrifice like things. For example, like I would have to sacrifice a couple hours with my friends, for example, if I wanted to put those 2 hours into a club I was participating in, planning an event. But then at the same time, I could turn that back around and like kind of find time in my schedule to hang out with my friends and like have a social life, which is totally possible to do even if you're busy. So I think with time management, it's like knowing when to substitute like what's most important, top priority on your list versus least important, and knowing when to juggle the two. You can't have everything all the time, so you kind of have to pick and choose based on like a weekly or monthly schedule.
Mm, yeah. I mean, I know like for myself, like as someone who like also has a bunch of activities as well, time management
Mhm.
is definitely one of my biggest struggles and like
Yeah.
definitely need to work on every day.
Yeah, and it's something that's common for I feel like teenagers these days. I don't know. I think honestly, we're probably lazy. Half of it is lazy, and half of it is the expectations for us are just so high, right? Like Gen Z, there's unlimited resources. No other generation has grown up with like technology that we have, right? So it's like almost like information overload, and there's this pressure to be able to do more because of the access that we have. At the same time, because of sometimes like the ability to not have like in-person interaction, we get more lazy and we like to be at home. And so I think I mean, it's a problem that we have to combat and work with, but at the same time we can't be too hard on ourselves.
Yeah, very true. So what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going and like to continue to work hard and strive for your very best?
Yeah, that's a great question. um I think it's almost just like not wanting to like fail, which I think I will turn around and like talk about how it's bad. So fear of failure is not, it's a thing that I think really hits people hard. And I think that a lot of people face that, is like people don't want to fail, and they stop themselves from doing things because they don't want to fail, and that's so bad. And sometimes it happens to me, and I'm really working on like not fearing failure, because what can you learn from failure? You learn so many things, and you grow and you improve and get better, right? But at the same time, in a very almost twisted way, sometimes like me fearing failure pushes me to try my best, right? It kind of, you can like kind of twist it around in that way, where it's like I don't want to disappoint myself. I expect the most from myself, and I want to achieve like I think I have a certain level of skill in this area, and like if I don't match that, I feel like I haven't done enough, right? Like I just want to push myself and challenge myself. That's how I was raised. And so it almost feels like I can't fail, so I have to do well. And then that motivates me. But on the flip side, a lot of the times, it's what I'm doing, whether it's like academic or social or extracurricular, I really enjoy doing. I don't participate in anything that I don't find super fulfilling. And so I think the passion really just pushes me, motivates me to spend so much time on different activities, is I genuinely like it. And I like the people, especially that are involved in the things that I'm involved with.
Yeah, I think for like especially like Asians, I think a lot of parents sometimes they may push kids to do things that they don't want to do, or like you know how like become a doctor, become an engineer, but that
Right.
might be their passion. So I think that is very important to do what you love to do because that keeps you motivated. Yeah.
Yes, and especially, yeah, especially the Asian American community. We can touch on that a little bit, being that we're both Asian American. Yeah, I think oftentimes parents struggle with letting their kids like have freedom and choosing what they want to do. That's something personally I've never faced, because my parents have always been extremely supportive of myself. I've been an independent, from very little. I've been mature and independent. I like to do things myself. So it's been nice, and in that way, I feel like I've been able to choose myself to do what I want to because they've given me that freedom. But it's not very common, and a lot of parents, I think it's just because they care and love their children so much that they think that certain things will make their kid better and will make their kids have like better lives, but like they really, it doesn't help the kid, and the kid feels stressed and pressured. And that's something that our Asian American community needs to address as well, is offering more freedom and individuality. It's a cultural difference, and that's something that's like East versus West, and it definitely, I think I see a cultural shift, as people grow older and generations below us. But as of now, um, it's just something that people have to deal with. And as more children are able to speak to their parents and actually voice their own opinion, like it'll get better.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I think a lot of students they're in teenagers they're afraid to speak out to their parents. They're afraid to like, come to them and address these issues to them.
Mhm.
I think that's the most important step to take in order to solve this issue because most parents don't even know. They don't even know that their kids don't enjoy this. So yeah.
Yeah, using your voice, it's really powerful.
Yeah. Okay. What is the last time or like the most significant time you've been pushed outside of your comfort zone?
Oh, wow, great question. Let me think. Pushed out of my comfort zone. I think it's really funny that I have to like actually think so hard about this, meaning that I probably don't push myself out of my comfort zone enough, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'd say, I'd say like, so I'm in chorus. I've been in chorus since the fourth grade. So I did chorus from fourth grade to senior year, loved it. Um, wouldn't have chosen any other activity to do during school. But I'd say my memories in chorus, especially with like singing and auditioning for solos this past year and previous, were examples of me like pushing myself out of my comfort zone, because I have never been like, I don't label myself as a singer, right? It's not my thing, but I do it because I love it. And that's like, I guess something I also want to point out is like, don't do activities that you think are going to look good on your college resume, or, because people expect it of you, but do it because you love it. I love singing. Am I good at it? No. Oh my gosh, no. I probably can't even hold a pitch well. Like, it's not great, but I love it so much. And I feel like in chorus, a lot of the times I felt um I was scared to like audition for solos, or like be like more prominent in that like choir community, because I feel like I wasn't good enough. But like I think, especially my juniors and senior year, I actually like tried to like audition for solos and like duets and like different things like that, pushing myself out of my own like, oh, I'm not a singer, I can't be in the center spotlight, um, kind of going against that and like trying to audition, and then actually just loving the opportunity and learning from it, even if I didn't get a solo, or even if I did. So
Yeah. So my platform is actually revolved around pushing people outside of your comfort zone, and I think that's a very important thing where people are. And the most important thing where people don't step outside their comfort zones because they're scared, and they're
mhm,
scared of failing. They're scared of being shamed, and they kind of, like you said, you kind of felt before that you weren't good enough, or like you were supposed to be in the spotlight, so that's why you didn't do it. I think that's a
right.
lot of people like they they kind of evaluate themselves, so they don't really go and do that thing that pushes them outside their comfort zone. So I think that's a thing a lot of people need to overcome though, because pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is the only way you can learn. There's a study that says like 70% of the time where you're outside of your comfort zone, you are learning. So I think that's a very important skill to have, and I think it's very important that we need to learn from that.
For sure. And I think a lot of times people are just like so comfortable with like what they're good at already. And I think that's why people don't step out of that zone, right? Because it's like you like what's comfortable. People like feeling like they have some sort of security, some sort of power. And when that's gone and pulled away from you, or you have to like tug that security blanket away, it's almost like you feel weak and you feel timid and you don't know what to do. And so I think it's like kind of changing that narrative, right? Like if we want, especially children, like teenagers, young adults, to push themselves out of their comfort zone, like it's kind of changing the rhetoric around it, right? Like telling people like it's never too late to try new things. You don't have to start something when you're little, right? And I think that there's not enough education around that because people are too willing to like stick to the thing that they're really good at because they feel great doing it. And that's something I feel like schools for sure need to focus on.
Totally. Okay. Uh, okay, what is something you feel like you still need growth in? Something you feel like you still need to improve on?
Yeah, a lot of things. Oh my gosh, I could like list them all, but I don't have enough fingers. I'd say several. Number one, I just feel like procrastination. That's something again that afflicts a lot of my friends and I, but my friends and me. But procrastination for sure. I have always um, been a bit of a procrastinator when it comes to like essays, for example, like school essays or like a big project that is like worth a lot of it's like worth a lot to me.
Mhm.
And it's because I have this area of growth that I need to work on where it's like I need to feel confident more in myself and believe in my abilities. And it's like, for example, like writing essays, I have such a high expectation. It's like so high that I can like not reach it. And so before I even like start writing an essay, for example, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be so bad. Like it's not gonna be good. Like I'm reading all of these like amazing writers' work and like it's never gonna be good enough. And I tell myself these bad things before I even start it. So I get scared and I get anxious and then I'm procrastinating all the way till the day before it's due. Right. That's just like a simple, like, I think our audience is generally younger kids. So that's kind of like more of a teenager example. It's something just so stupid. Like you would just be like, I'm telling myself like, that's so stupid. Just write the essay. Like you're going to be fine. You're, 18 years old, whatever. But I feel like it's so just like easy for people to like not believe in themselves and not be confident in their abilities, including myself. And so I think that like, for me especially, I just get anxious too often because I set the bar too high. So an area of growth for me is just like knowing that like it's just like some things it's like I just need to believe in myself and like try my best, and that's enough, and I don't need to reach this like unattainable like bar that's like in the like stars, right? I think that would be a great thing for me to do. Of course it's great to be idealistic and to reach high, right? But there's a point where you have to lower that bar.
Definitely. I think procrastination, like you said, it's a struggle for basically I think not even teenagers, even adults as well.
For
Um,
sure.
I think for me, when I procrastinate, it's more of like, I have this like, I mean, for me, I feel like I'm just lazy. I wait,
I'm lazy too. No, I'm lazy too. We're all lazy.
and then once I wait to the last minute, I kind of get like frozen because I get so stressed to the point where like I can't do anything. Like I just can't function. And
Yeah.
that's not even like when it's like right when it's due. It's like when like 3 or 2 days before it's due,
Mhm.
for example. And then I just keep pushing it back. And then towards the end, I just completely overwhelmed. I'm either like crying or just like pacing around the house. Like I literally just can't do anything. And then that's when usually I have to like tell my mom like what's going on. And I start like crying to her, like, I don't know what to do. Like I suck. Like I can't let this ever happen again. And then that's when I actually start doing it. So, I mean, that just puts so much more pressure on me, and then it doesn't help anyone. It makes my mom stressed, it makes me stressed. My
Mhm.
school teacher's probably like, what is this girl doing? She still hasn't turned something in. Um, so I think learning from those experiences is what pushes me to like not procrastinate as much. Because I remember one time I had this huge essay and we're like, I just completely, I don't know what happened. I completely waited to like the very, very, very last minute.
Yeah.
I was never more stressed. Like that was the most stressful time I've ever experienced.
Mhm.
I think next time when I like think I'm gonna procrastinate or like I feel like I don't want to do this, I try to go back to those kind of experience. I'm like, I never wanted to experience that.
Right.
I never want that to happen to me again. I think that kind of pushes me to, you know, not
Yeah,
procrastinate.
and that's great because it's a learning process, right? I feel like sometimes we have to reach our very lows in order to like learn from them and like draw back from that experience. Like I'll be like, I remember that time when I like really was stressed and like I don't want that to happen again. So I'm gonna like, be proactive the next time. And I
Yeah.
think that's totally what you're talking about. I've been through what you've been talking about so many times, I feel like, and honestly, it's really just learning from it. It's not, it doesn't, it doesn't come on in like a snap of your fingers, right? Like it takes years,
Yeah.
um, not even months, years to be better. But I think it's really just like not being lazy at the end of it. At the end of it, it's not being lazy and then getting anxious at the very end. It's like changing your habit, and that takes a long time.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, okay. How do you set goals? And like what are some for you in the near future?
Great. Yeah. So I set goals in my bullet journal. So I love bullet journaling. Do you bullet journal by any chance?
I really wanted to for a
Yeah.
while. Oh my god, it's like so it looks so much work. It looks like it's so
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Sometimes I feel like I spend more time planning than I actually do things, if that makes sense. I'm not a serious bullet journaler, so it's not anything crazy artistic because I'm not artistic. But I have like this little bullet journal. It's like graph lined paper, and I like putting like little boxes, and then I write like my to-do list. And I make goal lists. I have like a spring bucket list, for example, like things I want to do. And like it's very great for me because I feel like I've always been the type of kid, like, and since elementary school, where like I had my planner, my agenda, and it was like my best friend. And I feel like I took that so literally. Like I think GCal, Google Calendar, and my bullet journal are like my best friends because I feel like there's so many thoughts in my mind that like I'm just gonna forget everything if I don't write it down.
Mhm.
So goal setting, it's so important to write it down. When you write something down, it's like almost like you store it in your brain better. Like I'm not sure if you've ever heard it, but like sometimes when you're taking notes, they say instead of typing your notes, write it down because it really memorize, like you remember it. And for me, it's almost like when I am goal setting and I write a goal down, it's almost like I'm manifesting it. It's like the law of attraction. I'm manifesting that goal. And because I'm writing it down and then looking at it and reviewing it, monthly or whatever, whenever I see it, I feel like it could actually become a possibility and I think about it more. And then after that, it's like sometimes it happens. Now with goals in the past, for example, like Miss Georgia's Outstanding Teen, that was something I wrote down, right? I want to be Miss Georgia's Outstanding Teen. Here's why. I love journaling, so I just like write little paragraphs to myself. But that was something I felt like almost I manifested because I wrote it down. I cared about it more. It was so much more important. And because of that, I worked for it more. I put in the work. I didn't write down the goal and just be like, okay, I want this, right? I put in the effort and I feel like writing it down really helps. With future goals, honestly, right now, the pandemic has really kind of shifted everything for me and turned it upside down. I feel like I am really taking advantage of like the break, the pause that we've been given. Most people who are fortunate, I'm very privileged and I'm very grateful for that. I know a lot of people aren't. Um, and my heart hurts for them. But there's like a pause that I feel like I've been given, and in that way, really my goals are, I want to be able to go to my college on campus, right? I want to be able to make new friends, and from that, I want to get a job and support myself. I'm working currently during this quarantine, right? My goals are to pay for my own gas, to pay for my own food, and I'm doing that right now, and it's great. But yeah, future goals are just being involved in clubs. So it's really college oriented. I feel like I don't have a great answer for that, but that's okay, right? Goals can be small. Um, so yeah, I think really just writing them down is just such a game changer.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. I don't have a bullet journal, but I kind of have like just like a diary kind of
Great.
have like a brain dump area. I kind of just write everything there.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I find the time and like whenever I have like a something coming up, I write it down and like you said, it's kind of like manifesting it. Yeah, that's very true. So like being able to look at it and like see it there, like saying like I want to do that, I think that really helps.
It just changes the game, I feel like. It just makes it real.
Yeah. Okay. Um, what is like this is like a common pageant question. Um,
Oh, yeah, sure. Totally. Yeah, it's been I'm a little rusty. It's been years.
but what is like the last time you felt challenged or like a challenge you had to overcome, and then how did you overcome it?
Yeah. Um, I'd say like I go through like daily challenges, right? Just like everyone does. I feel like so in terms of my latest, it wouldn't be my latest, but I feel like I could talk about my injury. It's something that I think when I'm asked like what my biggest challenge is, it's always going to be my answer, just because it was such a major life change. But I tore a ligament in my foot in my freshman year, so about 4 years ago, and so I had to get two major surgeries, and I couldn't walk for like 8 months. Um, it's weird to talk about now because it just feels like a lifetime ago. But I couldn't. It took me a full year to get back to real life after months of physical therapy and not being able to dance. And that was a challenge for me, both like physically and mentally. Physically because I was so used to dancing and leaping like several times a week at dance for hours on end, but I couldn't even stand on both feet, so I couldn't even walk, and I relied on a scooter and crutches to go everywhere. So that was like that physical dimension, plus the surgeries hurt. They hurt so much. But mentally, I think it was hard because um, I think when a physical part of you breaks, it hits you mentally harder because you've lost something. I lost my ability to walk on the street and no one notice me and no one look at me, right? That was a big thing. I wasn't used to the eyes and the stares. At school, I had to go on a scooter everywhere instead of walking, and couldn't like walk with my friends, and it was hard. Not being able to dance, I think, was the biggest thing, right? Because it was my passion and what I loved, and I couldn't do it for an entire year. And before I'd put like my entire life purpose into dancing. And so like my self-worth was dance. And if I couldn't dance, then what was I? Right? I kind of lost a sense of my identity. And that was a challenge. And how I overcame it, honestly, was flipping my mindset. When I had the injury, I could do nothing. Nothing. I couldn't do anything about it. So, like, what's the point of always being sad about it? So, I would flip it and make it positive. Like, I loved going to physical therapy because it was a place for me to realize and see my recovery. With every exercise, I realized I was getting stronger. Became friends with my physical therapist, and I love them. I brought them donuts a couple months ago. It was fun. Visited them again. But it's like changing the story, flipping it, and becoming more positive at school. People are staring at me, not because of like malice, just because there's, when someone has an injury, you kind of sympathize with them. It's just like not being afraid of like the eyes and people treating you differently. It's honestly, it's just like pretending that it isn't there or like dealing with it. That's kind of what I did. Was I just like, okay, I have this injury, whatever. I mean, I can still go to school. At that point, I was like getting ready to compete in pageants, and I didn't get my boot off for my injury until 2 weeks before my first pageant, my first state pageant. But I think like getting distracted and then also knowing that like it's going to be over, that's what helped me.
Oh, okay. I think for me, I've never struggled with like like that big of a physical
And
injury.
it doesn't need to be a big challenge, not at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I did struggle with like kind of a back injury.
Yes.
Remember, yeah. So I mean, I think it's almost the same thing with that. Like me feeling like I had nothing to do, like because I literally couldn't even like I had no um I could not move my upper body like at all.
Yeah, you couldn't shift it or anything.
Yeah, it just hurt so much. And that was like a while. And that actually happened right before my very first, almost like my very first Miss Georgia competition.
Right. Yeah.
It was scary. And then same as you, I didn't know what to do because I was just so stressed. I was so scared because it was right before competition. And I think like this, like like you said, it's changing your mindset. I think by seeing the positive side, the bright side from things, it really changes you, and you can really like it's like I didn't die. Like I can still. I mean, I'm completely fine. So I think by changing your mindset, that really helps, and it really changes everything.
Sure. I mean, it's hard and you were limited, and I was there. I saw you. It was really hard to go through, especially because it's not something that's very short. And, it lasts a long time, it persists.
Mhm.
And there are a series of measures you have to take in order to like recover from that, right? It's hard. And especially if it's your back, you're so limited. And I think like for you, you were so positive throughout the entire thing, and you really just kept that like energy. And that's what made you like still do well at the pageant, and like you still danced well, and you survived it, right? Like it happened and now it's over. Well, it's, getting better slowly, right?
Yeah, it's
And
almost.
it's great. Good. That's awesome. And like now it just feels like it was such a lifetime ago, right? I feel like and with anything, with any challenge, it's all about mindset, how you look at it.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Um. Okay, we're gonna kind of switch gears to like pageant mode.
Sure. Yeah.
Is like your favorite appearance or like your favorite event moment as Miss Georgia's outstanding team?
Yeah, this one's easy actually because I have one like favorite moment. Of course, my year was amazing, but there was one moment I gave a speech. So I was invited to give a speech at a National Charity League event, and so it was about like National Charity League. It like brings like moms and like daughters together, and so at this event there was like 200 moms and daughters, and I had been given like the welcoming like guest appearance speech, and it was like a 30-minute speech, and they wanted me to talk about like self-confidence and leadership because the audience was like teenage girls. So I think it was like from grades 9 through 12, and they wanted me to talk about just like how to become a leader, or like how to be more self-confident, like be a better person, like navigate high school, the whole spiel. And I think I had a lot of fun preparing the speech because I love giving advice. If I could just give advice all day, I feel like that would just be such a fulfilling career. But preparing the speech was really fun, but then actually giving it and feeling just so vulnerable because I was talking about very personal things to me in front of 200 people by myself, the first time I'd given like a 30-minute speech. And this is coming from someone who used to be so scared and shy of public speaking, and then switching gears and like talking to that many people who were complete strangers. But the fact that like the girls really just they understood what I was going through, and they understood my message and my purpose from talking about my personal experiences. And I feel like that was so special to me, especially when like the moms, for example, gave me like standing ovations, or like they were laughing or like clapping while giving my speech. I think that just like completely just made me feel like I made me feel like I was making a difference because people were like getting what I was saying. I was talking about like not being passive and like being active, like making choices, like setting goals, right? Or like working through self-confidence issues, and like using my own personal experiences to like give advice, right? But I feel like they really heard me. And I feel like I really just hit like a bone in them. And I feel like that is something that I'll always cherish, because that day after speaking with several moms and teenagers, and they told me how like impactful the speech was, I think it was just like, wow, the first time I felt like people actually heard me and what I had to say, and that it was important. And yeah, it just made me feel really special. And yeah, it's still like I just think about it. Sometimes when I'm, feeling low, I'll just think about it, and the fact that like we all have the ability to make a difference, right? But sometimes you just don't know until it happens.
Yeah. I think also okay, so you said you're talking to from ninth grade to 12th grade girls.
Hmm.
Did it feel different? Kind of like talking to like the people that were the same age as you? Did it feel like weird or anything?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I was terrified, because at that time I was a junior and there were seniors. And like honestly, they were mainly seniors. Like it was like mainly seniors and then like junior, sophomore, freshman. And I was like terrified out of my mind. I was like, these girls are older than me. Like they're not gonna listen to what I have to say. So yeah, it was absolutely terrifying, gut wrenching. I had like butterflies in my stomach the whole time, but I feel like So I'm a performer, and I feel like a lot of performers, like once you step on the stage, it's like a gear turns in your mind. It's like I'm on performance mode, and that's exactly how I felt. But yeah, it was terrifying, and I honestly, when I think about it, I like forget that like the people in the audience were way older than me. Um, but sometimes you just got to put yourself out there, right? There's nothing to lose. I
Yeah.
embarrass myself all the time, daily. I can embarrass myself in front of thousands of people on stage, and it's fine.
Yeah. I think like as Miss Rory was saying to you, or like just as a title holder in general, you should
Huh?
think the people who are, either younger than you, like in a school or something, and
Yeah.
people adults. And
Right.
I've never gotten the opportunity to talk to people who are actually teenagers, like people my age.
Yeah.
When you think about it, that is kind of terrifying because, like you said, they could be older than me. They could be like, I mean, she's just our age. Like, what is she talking about? Like, she's
Right.
yeah. So I kind of like overthink that, but I think the best way to get your message out to teenagers is to talk to teenagers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like you bring up a great point. I just didn't even think about that. But like yes, in the pageant sphere, we mainly interact with other contestants, like our friends, and then like older adults and younger children. But rarely do we interact with like people who are our age that are not involved in the pageant sphere. Um, and that's a great point. But honestly, like to combat that fear is really just to not take yourself so seriously. That's something I definitely learned is like I do not take myself seriously anymore. It's like you need to be able to laugh at yourself and make fun of yourself, and it's you only live once, just like have a good time and not care what other people think. I think that is like the best way to achieve happiness. Um, and something we should all work with is like insecurity as a young woman
Mhm.
is very prevalent, and I feel like in order to combat that, like just live your own life and have fun and be funny and just be so frivolous
Uh-huh.
when you can, before you have responsibility, before you have to pay the bills and take care of a child. Just have fun and be mature, but also know how to have a good time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not like crazy mature advice, but it's it's something.
Yeah. Okay. So how has the Miss America Outstanding Teen organization, how has that changed your life or just impacted your life? And what are some like the major things that you've learned from your experience?
Yeah, so it changed my life completely, complete 180. Again, the main thing is just so like I'll talk about like three ways that it changed my life. First, it just totally broke me out of my shell because I was in eighth grade, so I was a rising freshman when I started competing or just started being involved in the pageant sphere. So that was basically freshman, sophomore, junior year was my time in the Miss Georgia's Outstanding Teen, Miss America's Outstanding Teen sphere. And that was essentially all of my high school life. And so I think it really changed my life because in high school, because of my experiences in pageantry, I was able to run for class president and I was able to be president of a business club because I learned the ability to speak to people and to voice my opinion and to connect with people and like put myself out there.
Yeah.
And so it's just like such a great opportunity. I think pageantry just molds young women to be so not so confident but more confident in themselves and to be able to talk to people and know themselves better. You learn so much, not only about your platform, not only about your personality, but like about current events as well. And I think that really just shapes young people to learn about what's um in going on in their world. Sorry, cannot speak English today. I think that brings me to my second point, change my life in the fact that it brought me into not politics because I feel like it's just so divisive nowadays, but I want to say just like current events, being knowledgeable of my place in society and the issues at hand,
Mhm.
developing an opinion on things. I think often it's very easy for teenagers to be like, oh, like I'm not involved in politics, or like I don't really have an opinion on that issue. And sure, we're young and a lot of people have not had the opportunity to educate themselves enough to like have an opinion. However, it's so important to have an opinion. Oh my god, it's so important to have an opinion. And that's my second thing is pageantry led me to become more knowledgeable about the world that I live in and the issues that impact me and impact the people around me. And because of that, I developed an opinion, and that has led me to learn more about myself than I had learned about myself for the other 14 years of my life prior.
Mm.
Number three, it led me to be able to travel across the state of Georgia. I feel like that's such a fun one. Yeah, I grew up in the suburbs of Atlanta. And so, it was really just suburbia my entire life. And I'd never gone up or down to the mountains or to South Georgia, where it's completely different from more of the like urbanized area that I lived in. And I felt like that was just so fun being able to go to like Statesboro or like Warner Robins, Columbus. I love those cities so much now because of the opportunities I had to travel. And that kind of sparked my interest in like traveling to places that like aren't necessarily like Paris, I'm saying like Paris, Hawaii, like things that you would go for like travel destinations, but like places where you can meet really, really amazing people and find that you have so many more similarities and differences, but experiencing it in a different environment. So yeah, I'd say those are my three main changes.
Yeah. Wow. Those are really, really great learning experiences, and that's amazing. I think for me, like a lot of it comes from um like being able to speak to people, and like
Mm,
the all the mock interviews I've had, and then all of that like practice going into the actual Miss Georgia interview. I think
mm,
that has really shaped me, really changed me, like the whole interview process. Because
yes.
not only like when you grow older, you have to do job interviews, college interviews, but then also just like you said, like being able to voice your opinion and have people really want to have people like the judge panel who really want to know about you and really want to hear your side of things. And I
Mm,
think a lot of teenagers, they don't get that opportunity because a lot of them follow like their parents' opinions or like what they hear from like on the news or like at school. They don't really form their own opinions, and I think that's like you said, a very, very important skill teenagers need to develop, because I mean, the only way you're gonna learn more about yourself and more about the world is until you form your own opinions on things. So yeah.
yes, and that's so great. Like what normal teenager has to talk about their life like in front of five judges, right? That's not very common at all. And it's just such a rare learning opportunity. And I've seen you especially like just go through because we're so close as friends, and I've seen you go through the pageant process, and I've seen how you've just grown immensely in your speaking abilities, and you've grown more confident, and to actually be able to like put a picture to a thought, like it's like, oh, I know that like pageantry helps people. I've seen it in myself, but to see it in someone else and to see that growth, it's just truly life changing. Like I feel like we both have so much to owe to the Miss Georgia program, Miss Georgia's Outstanding Teen program, both. Yeah, it's completely shifted our lives and shaped our lives.
Definitely. And you were actually like one of the main reasons why I started competing. I don't know if I ever told you that, but like
I didn't know that.
it's like well, it's like you and like Patricia, because we all like
Yeah, yeah. Patricia was actually mine, which is so funny that you bring that up.
kind of like a you know
Recession, yeah, a little bit.
um so yeah, I think seeing other girls, like you said, seeing other girls go through the process and see how much they have grown is really inspiring. And
Mhm.
it makes me like the moment I saw you and like how much you have changed, I was like, wow, I want to go through that too. Like I want to be like that too. And I think that's one of the main ways we can kind of promote the program as well, is like telling people your story and telling people how much the program has changed you. I think really is inspiring, and is will have more girls will join the program because of that.
Yes, and there are girls who are currently watching you in your journey throughout the Miss Georgia Teen 18 program, right? And I've met some of your princesses before, like Ashley,
Yeah.
and she talks about you all the time, and she wants to be like you. And I think that's so important too. Is like your role right now as a local title holder is so immensely important, because the people that you're meeting, the children that you're meeting, they see you and they see someone that they want to be, right? They see young adults that like they want to be in the future, and that's just so powerful.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So, oh God, I expected this to be literally be like 20 minutes long. And it's like,
How long has it been?
it's
Oh,
been
like 30 minutes.
so time.
Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly,
Love
exactly.
it.
Okay. So I have a few more questions.
Sure,
Keep
let's do it.
But okay, so how do you stay, I know after Miss 2018, how do you still stay active in your community, and like what are some like community services that you do?
Yeah. Okay, we'll make it like lightning round now, just to save some time. I've been rambling too much. So I think my favorite, I am a teacher's assistant for the special education program in my school. And that is the single best thing that I did in high school. It's so amazing. So we have a community-based instruction department at my school, and so I TA for first period, and I help the students with their math activities. We do special activities like they'll sell coffee, or they'll help like the soccer coach, or they'll go in the cafeteria and like sort sauces and utensils for the entire school, and helping them in their curriculum that they have, which is specialized to like the community, is so it was so life changing for me, because I've always wanted to be involved in education, and a future career path for me is like probably mixing like business and education and nonprofit work, all together, maybe even law. But it was a great like deep dive into like a possible career as a teacher, because I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was in kindergarten. So definitely my TA work at school was so wonderful, because it was part of the work based learning program. So it's not like we got paid for any or anything like that. But I loved it, and I connected it with a club that I founded at my school that works with the children with disabilities. So it was this whole full circle moment. I felt like there was a community that we were building, that the students with disabilities were finally like involved in the student body and accepted and had friends all over the school to say hi to. And that is something that I genuinely am proud of, and that I will always just be so grateful that I was involved in that community. I'm going to one of the girls' Sweet 16 birthday drive-bys later today. So it's just like that community that still persists even after I graduate. In terms of other community service, I dance actually. I'm a dance teacher as a volunteer. I don't think I told you, but I've been doing some dance teaching coaching on the side. And I've been working at like Drake House and Easter Seals, which I can, we can talk privately about this later, but other organizations that work with adults and children with disabilities. And so I feel like my platform has really translated after pageantry to continuing to work over the summer. And of course, right now with coronavirus, it's not very possible. But for example, in the beginning of my senior year, and throughout like the middle first semester of my senior year, I was volunteering quite heavily with Annandale Village, which is a neighborhood village for adults with disabilities. And I was working with their athletic department. But it's like different activities like that. It's like finding ways to still be involved after pageantry. And anyone can do it in different capacities.
Yeah, I think that's so amazing that you are still so passionate, and you're still so motivated about your platform after your pageantry. And I think that is very, very important because, I feel like it's easy to think that, okay, so once it's over, like I've won, I've done everything, I'm in the
Mhm.
program already. It's like
Right.
I'm kind of over. But like the fact that you are still pursuing your platform, you're still doing community service, I think that is so, so, so amazing.
Thank you so much. And like I learned that from my role models, right? People older than me. And I saw them continually working with their platform, because why? They chose platforms that they really cared about.
Yeah.
And like I really care my platform. You really care about your platform. That's why we're doing this interview. It's like girls finally like they find a platform or a way to build a social impact initiative and be able to carry out different duties as teenagers, as young women, as young adults, where typically that's not possible and not given the resources or taken seriously. And so I feel like after you develop such a strong connection with that platform, it's very easy just to continue it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Um, so do you have any like in general high school advice, and then any advice for like pageant girls?
Yes, yes. So for high school, let's give some advice. First of all, it's so hard to balance academics and like social life and like extracurricular. Like I've heard so many times like it's impossible to balance everything, which is kind of true. But at the same time, it's it's possible to have a very fulfilling academic life and social life, and it's really really important to focus on that social life. So I think like biggest piece of advice in high school is make sure you are having fun. These are 4 years you're never going to get back. Never going to get back. I've made mistakes. My junior year was terrible because I put too much on my plate. And that's why it's so important for me to like give advice as like in high school, or it's like there's a point where you need to feel fulfilled in terms of like career in college or whatnot. But at the same time, you need to be with your friends because people are the most important part of your life. Like the people you're with, the people you love that love you back is the single most important aspect of anyone's life, of any individual's life, certainly mine. And so that's number one, is care about the people you're with. Number two, in high school, find an activity so much joy that doesn't feel like work, that doesn't feel like a chore, that you want to be there and it feels like a break. You come home from school and you feel like doing this activity is what generally brings you happiness, and it is a break. It's always necessary. Number three, don't compare yourself with anyone. Comparison is very hard in high school, especially so hard. I've caught myself comparing myself against other people, just a natural human instinct. But when you find yourself comparing yourself to others, it's so important to realize that every single person's life is different. And it's not fair to expect certain things of yourself when you're just a different person, and it's just so toxic and unhealthy. So really, really try not to compare yourself to other people. In terms of pageantry, with pageant girls, I think something that I could have done better during my entire pageantry experience was utilizing social media in a very powerful way. For me, I almost felt like I didn't feel like I had to broadcast everything on social media. And this is something I'm changing. This is, I think, the most important piece of advice. Now, social media is so, so important. And we've seen amazing title holders use social media. For example, Annie Jorgensen, my Miss Georgia, was incredible at utilizing social media to her advantage and to create initiatives and conversation on that platform, right? The current Miss Georgia Outstanding Teen, Mary Wilhelmina Hodges, has done an incredible job of utilizing her social media. Her Instagram is incredible, and she's done interviews with all the local title holders, and she's constantly developing initiatives. It's incredible, and it's amazing the amount of volume of positivity that it's created. That's something that I think pageant title holders really need to do now. Rebecca, you have done an incredible, impeccable job of building up your social media presence, and it's just so great to see. And that's something that was my weakness that I wish if I could go back. That's probably, I don't have regrets. That's one like regret or like improvement that I would have made, is like, my thing was just like, I don't feel like I have to broadcast everything. Like if I'm doing a great job in my community, in terms of service, like I don't need to tell the world because I'm doing it. In hindsight, I still stand by that statement, but in hindsight, there could have been ways that I could have used social media to my advantage to even further broadcast my voice. So I think that's the biggest piece of advice for pageantry. And then second thing is comparison. I feel like high school, you can really relate to that with high school. And the third is just to have fun. It's an extracurricular activity, right? At the essence, it's a journey to become a better person. And so you need to make sure it's fun. The moment it doesn't become fun, the moment you find yourself stressing about the little things, is when you have to step back from the tree and look at the forest and realize the purpose for why you compete in pageantry.
Yeah. Wow, that is great advice. You are right. You could totally like have a job just giving advice. That
No, oh no, don't toot my own horn like that. No, I am just a talkative person, and I could talk to a brick wall and it'd be fine. So yeah. You give incredible advice too. I learned so much from you. I'm constantly inspired by you. So very grateful for that.
Thank you. I think social media is like an amazing thing that you brought up because I mean seeing Mary Will, I think she's really like the main reason why social media has gotten so big in the pageant world, I think is because of those like title holders who have fully utilized it, like Mary Will. I think
Yeah.
like now everyone's like social media is like one of the primary things we're using to promote our platforms, like being
Right.
a title holder. And I think that really came from Mary Lowell. I think she really inspired us to, how she utilized it was really amazing. And then so we really learned from that. And I think that's really great.
Yes, she is an incredible example, and I love that she has kind of created this trend that I feel like almost everyone who will come behind her as a Miss Georgia title holder, but also as a like local title holders, will like look at her and set an example of the ways that she's utilizing it. I think it's just absolutely amazing, and I love following it.
Yeah. Same here. Okay. Um, to kind of wrap this up, what are, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it, but what are like your plans for college? And then what are you really looking forward to in your future?
Yeah, it's a fun question. So my plans for college, I'm studying the field of social sciences. So that could take me to government, to economics, to anthropology, even to sociology. So many different kind of like closer concentrations. So I'm not really sure what that's going to lead me to, but social sciences, and I am planning on getting a minor in educational studies, because education is so close to my heart and I've always wanted to work with children, especially. So, something along the lines of that for career wise. I'm really excited to go to college. I've been wanting to go to college for years, ever since my sister and all her friends went to college. I felt like I was always the younger one, like, when is my turn? Like, I want to graduate from high school already. But I'm just really excited to kind of be on my own and be independent and have like a less structured lifestyle. I think I really need that because I'm someone who is so type A and type B at the same time. I'm so chill, but I'm so organized and certain like structured lifestyle that I have, that I feel like I kind of want to break from that, and just to be able to take a chill pill in that sort of way of leading a life that has more breaks and more pauses. But I'm really just excited for that college life. What I'm looking forward to in college is meeting people from all over the world. I feel like I live in a little bubble in my area, in my city, and I feel like you feel the same way. We live in the same circles, but I feel like it's almost like a bubble at times.
Yeah.
And going to a college where there's not only people from every single state, but there are people from every single country that go to that school. So I feel like just be able to learn a lot from my peers and a lot from the professors there, and I cannot wait.
Oh my God, I am so, so excited for you too. Like, it's so like you've been kind of like been a role model for all of us, like growing up, because like, like through dance, you were kind of like the upper ballet class. You're like one level above us. So like people in our class are always like looking up to like, oh, Rory, like Melinda, like all of those girls, like they're like our role models. And like seeing you guys like finally, come out of your shells and like going to college, it's just so crazy. And I don't know, you have so many amazing things in store for you. I am so, so excited to see what you can do. And I think, I don't know, it's just so inspiring to see like someone finally go to like an amazing school, first of all, and then also being so successful in what you're doing and then like achieving your goals. I think that is like so inspiring, and I don't know, I'm just so excited for you.
Thank you. That's so sweet. It means a lot. And I look at you guys the same way. And I look at the younger girls in that way where I kind of see what my friends and I went through when we were younger. And it's kind of like I watch you guys grow up, and it's kind of like I'm going through that same thing of like growing up at the same time. But then for me, I was usually the youngest, and I always looked at my sister because my sister was in the grade above me for dance. And so same thing. I looked at all her friends, and it was so special to me when they were going off to college, because it felt like another batch is leaving, like they're gone and they're going away, and the next batch rises to like fill their position. And I just think it's so cool. Growing up is crazy. It's just insane.
I know.
But it really does mean a lot, and appreciate the sweet words you said.
Okay, so wow, that was way longer than I thought it would be, but I'm so happy.
It was so fun.
I know, so much fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It's been so great.
Of course, anytime. Thanks so much for having me. I love this.
Me too,
We need to hang out in real life soon. Soon when it's safer,
definitely.
for sure.